Hello, and thank you for joining us on Brenda Williams' Red Hot Communication Podcast, where we answer questions like, are you fire, ice, or too nice? Our shows teach you how to become an expert communicator, where you discover what you truly want, how to ask for it, and actually get it. Stay tuned to empower yourself and start creating the career you want. And now, here is Brenda Williams with today's message.
I am excited today because Amin Desai is back with me, and we have some amazing conversation and some years of wisdom that we like to share with all of you. So thank you for joining us. And I just want to put it out there and shout out to all of you. I love receiving your emails, your phone calls, your questions, and even your challenges so that we can address them as we do the podcast to help you learn and grow. Today, we're going to talk about personal branding and how it can make a huge difference in your life and especially in your career. So let me go ahead and say hello, Lisa. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
I am so glad you're here. She said earlier, thank you for having me. I go, I love having you. It's so much more fun to have a conversation and interaction and engagement. And all of you will enjoy that so much more as well versus me just sitting here and talking to the wall for a half hour. So let's talk about what personal branding really means. You know, in essence, a personal brand is really a proactive way of controlling your own career development and how you're perceived in the marketplace. What would you add to that, Lisa?
I think it's a matter of conveying what's important to you and putting that out there to the people that you're working alongside, so they know who you are and what value you bring to the table.
That is so true. I agree wholeheartedly. And it definitely impacts your ability to be able to get the right jobs, your ability to get promoted, and to make more money.
I think that's something that I've been working on lately too, is just putting yourself in front of the right people. So as you encounter different people, you start telling them a little bit about what you do and why you do it. Why is it important to you? What's the value in it? Then they start to see what you can bring to their team and where those opportunities might lie. So you don't necessarily go looking for the opportunity. You start putting yourself and your value out there and let the opportunity come to you.
Absolutely. It's about developing an image for yourself. It's showing the value, in essence, defining who you are.
Absolutely.
What you're made up of, how great you are. And I work with a lot of people in coaching them because they're not confident or even capable sometimes of selling themselves. I mean, so many people don't even know what their values are and their mission statement. They've never really thought about it.
I think people know deep down what it is. I think sometimes it's hard to put into words. They have difficulty expressing it, or there's a level of reluctance that's there as far as actually putting those words out into space and expressing it. Maybe they feel like they might be arrogant or something like that. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's just a matter of knowing who you are and being able to express that. I don't think that there's nothing negative or arrogant about that. It's putting it out there.
Now listen to Lisa. She said that with confidence, you noticed, right? And that's awesome. You know, I love seeing that because not everybody has that confidence. And it's funny because in the career coaching I've been doing recently, because I've been doing quite a bit of it, I've added in the coaching around our mindset, how it plays mind games on us if we're looking for a new career or even passed up for a promotion. But the mindset, how people think, and the self-confidence. The self-confidence is crucial. And and I agree with you, is in the coaching world, we say people have the answers within.
They do. I think it is just the confidence of allowing it to come forward. And I think also just the ability to kind of reconcile some of those things within your own brain. And so you know what your qualities are, you know what your capabilities are, but being able to vocalize that and assemble that into what it is that the person in front of you is looking for.
So here's a question for all of you to consider. What do you want people to think of when they think of your name? What do you want to be associated with? Are you an expert in a particular area? Is it your personality traits? You're able to rally the troops and create, a collaborative environment, add a little fun, or, what is it that makes you unique? And If you don't have that answer right now, that's okay. But ponder it, give it some thought. So often when I start going through my career coaching exercises with my clients, in the beginning, they don't know the answer because they've never thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
But as I start digging deeper and asking them questions and letting them think through them, they do start to, unveil what's really inside. Because we all have an essence about ourselves and we all know certain things are important to us. Like for one, it might be respect.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be someone's very, very important piece of what motivates them and inspires them. So if they feel disrespected, I end up having them as my client because it's a hot button and then they have conflict.
Right.
But respect is something that is very important for a lot of people. Appreciation,
Mm-hmm.
And these aren't skill sets. This is what makes you happy in your career. So when you're looking for a new career and you're creating your personal branding, whether it's in your current company looking to get promoted, or it's looking for a new opportunity down the road, remember what's important to you. You want to see if you are in the right environment with the right people, and also make sure you're giving back and
Mm-hmm.
treating others the way you want to be treated.
That's absolutely true. Yeah, you really have to look at, are you really in the right environment? Is the skill set that you have and the qualities that you have, is that around you? Is that in your environment? And are you part of the environment? Are you really, finding that connection, or are you the odd man out? And that will really tell you whether this is the right fit or not, and if this is the right place for you, or if you really belong somewhere else. I think a lot of times people stay in positions a lot longer than they should because they don't know that they sense something is wrong and they're looking for something greater, but they never take a step back to say, is this really the right environment for me? Is this organization and what they stand for, is that aligned with what my own values are? Because that's really the only place where you're going to find the right environment for you to grow and to develop, if you're really in a place where you're in alignment with the overall objectives and mission of the organization.
And I'll take that a step further, because I was just working with someone this week who is very unhappy
Mm-hmm.
in his career. And he has some resentment and some judgment going on with another employee.
Okay.
And I'm sure we've all seen this.
Sure.
There's usually one person in the office that rubs people the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
And bottom line is we all have different personalities, different ways we like to make decisions. I mean, when you tie it back to business emotional intelligence, I
Yep.
can give you all the reasons why there's conflict in the office.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is people will harbor resentment. They'll start blaming and finger pointing, and then there'll be challenges in the organization. And it's so important, if you're branding yourself and you're trying to create a name for yourself and, in essence, create your own career path, I'm going to challenge you to ask yourself, who's that one person in the office that rubs me the wrong way? And what can I do to step away from them? And if you can't step away from them, maybe it's your boss or your employee, ask yourself what you can do to change your perception of that person, to stop judging them, to try to look at them with more curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you can mentor them.
I think a lot of it has to do with finding where your common points are and using that as your jumping off point. Instead of looking at the differences, look at the commonalities and really look at how you can become more, this actually very recently happened to me with a project that I'm working on, where we encountered some, the organization that I work with is doing kind of a research study where we're working with our counterparts and implanting some of our own staff to assist them with their operations. And most of the organizations from the upper administrative level, they love this idea because it's free help from their perspective. But on the surface level, where we're working with the day-to-day staff, they feel threatened. They feel threatened by this external force that's coming in and trying to take over or become aligned with what they're doing. So that's where we took a different stance, because all the different organizations that we're working with, they're all independent businesses. They all have a different mission and philosophy and things like that. And so we decided to wipe the slate clean and start from scratch with each one and say, this is our value proposition, but what do you need? What is it that you need? Where can we help you? And we had one particular person at one of the organizations who was just very combative, very fought us tooth and nail every step of the way. And so it was really getting down to that. Again, I think what we talked about before, the motivational interviewing, where you're asking the questions, you're probing with the other person. Well, tell me why you feel that way. Can you explain that to me? Can you explain what your limitations are, what your challenges are? And let me see what I can do to alleviate that. How can I help you? Where you put yourself, instead of in a combative role, you're putting yourself in a role of support.
And connecting with that person.
Absolutely.
And we talked about that in our last podcast.
Yep.
And it's crucial even in the branding world. If you're doing your own branding effort and you're having a hard time coming up with, what am I an expert in, or what are my strengths or my values, something that's so needed in the business place is to be that cheerleader, to bring people together, to get people on the same page, to encourage and inspire people to collaborate, and to invite conversation where people can have difference of opinion, but respect and value what the other person has to say.
Well, for a healthy collaboration, that's really what that is. And so how do you cultivate that, or how do you bring that about? And I think people who have that skill set, absolutely. But I think a big part of branding too is looking where your skills align with the person who you're trying to brand yourself to, and how do you form that connection?
Yes, you're absolutely right. How can I help this individual? And that will change throughout the organization. So I had a client I was working with last year, and his goal was, he was very unhappy in his current job. And he wanted to either stay within the company and move to a different department and take on a different role, something new and exciting. He needed a new challenge. I've been hearing that a lot lately. Oh, yeah. People need a new challenge. And so he was unclear if he was going to stay there and do that or go look for a new opportunity. And so throughout our process working together, providing coaching and consulting as well as training, because there's 3 things involved.
Yep.
The coaching is the self-discovery, knowing who you are, how you show up, and how are you currently coming across to people? And then secondly, once you know that, how do I communicate with these people more effectively? So when you talk about personal branding, we're going to share some tips and some ideas as to how to go about doing that today. And then the third piece is, well, maybe you need a new skill set. Part of your personal branding might be to find a new skill set. And if you're the type of person who has the personality that can facilitate meetings and get people together, to inspire them to collaborate and build a team environment that's fun and innovative, that could be part of your personal branding. It's something that's really needed inside organizations these days. And what's really cool is when you can do that across departments to bring different divisions together. And then you create a name for yourself throughout the whole organization as someone that gets along well with others, it's a team player, that really adds a lot of value to the company. And that's really what leads me into identifying your value. So, Lisa, what are your values?
I've always felt like my values, first of all, I think going into the career path that I chose was that I wanted to help other people. My goal was always to bring some sort of benefit to other people's lives. So in that, you find that if you really listen to people, you can find the win-win. If you really hear what their needs are and find, again, that connection between what your objectives are and what their needs are in bridging that gap. And so I've always felt like that's where my value lies, is in creating the win-win with others.
Well, that's why like-minded people hang out together.
It must be.
I love helping people as well. It's one of the reasons I became a coach. And I didn't realize it way back then, but now that I've had the opportunity to do that, it's been an incredible journey and the most rewarding thing I've ever done. And so when I started thinking about one of my values, helping people learn and grow, practicing the work that I preach, being that role model that we talked about.
Right.
Living it, breathing it. And really, I live through self-awareness. It's become my passion, my personal passion. And then my professional mission is to share it with the rest of the world. And the more I do it, the more excited I get, because I've noticed and I've met a lot of people along the way that haven't been taught this stuff. And so it really affects their lives.
It does. It has a great impact on somebody's life. It's a lot of people, they know what they feel, but again, characterizing it, putting it into words, being able to express it, those are very challenging. And it boils back to your basic communication skills that you learn as a child, and how you're raised, and how you grow up, and how your communication skills are either reinforced or discouraged. And so that's how people choose how they're going to communicate, and then what their level of understanding is of their own feelings. It's all tied together.
Well, and we've had many podcasts in the past talking about active listening and expressing yourself and asking the right questions. Mm-hmm. And it's been fascinating to me as I've coached more and more people over the years as to how when they go on an interview, most people are taught to just answer questions about your resume and your skills and what you did at your last job. But very few have taken personal branding into consideration and looked at, how do I sell those values? Mm-hmm. How do I implement my mission statement into my resume? And I'm here to tell all of you out there how crucial it is. Because in our next podcast, we're going to be talking about interviewing techniques and what people are looking for. Mm-hmm. And, these days it's becoming more and more challenging to go on an interview. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more people in the world, and companies will sometimes interview 10, 20, even 30 people before they hire the right person. And it's no longer just one person doing the interview. It might be a panel of people, or you might have to meet with 10 people throughout the organization. Mm-hmm. And so each person has a different need.
Absolutely.
And a different agenda. Mm-hmm. And part of learning how to sell yourself is implementing your personal branding throughout that process. Not just talking about your skill set, but being in a zone of confidence, not arrogance, and there is a difference. Yep. Where you can speak to your achievements and your accomplishments. And if you do that from the heart and you share with pride the results of projects you were on and people you worked with and the teams that were involved, mm-hmm. and you engage the experience of the people that supported you and worked with you, and it's no longer a bragging or egotistical way. It's a way to really speak to how much you enjoy what you do and how many great people you've had around you. So it's an opportunity for you to express your values, your mission statement, and put your personality into it.
Well, I think once you know what your own personal value is, and if you can kind of research the organization that you're interviewing with or the position that you're interviewing for, and understand, come to see again what values they're looking for. You don't always know that information up ahead of time, but if you're really reviewing the organization, the mission, the vision of the organization, this particular position, and you ask those questions, I think it's important going in, asking those questions. Well, what are you looking for? What's important to you? And then finding that alignment with, this is who I am, and this is what I can bring to you, because that's really what the organization's looking for, is what can this person bring to us? What value does this person hold? And how are they going to bring that into our organization? And how is that going to get us to the next level?
The rest of the message is coming your way in just a few moments. But first, we want to take a moment to thank you for being with us for today's broadcast. For over 20 years, Brenda has coached, consulted, and trained. And during that time, she's seen and heard it all. She knows firsthand what it takes to create the career you want. And her goal is to provide you with the necessary tools to get there. We invite you to start your journey today. Visit BrendaWilliamsA.com and get your free career assessment and success roadmap. The rest of the message is coming your way.
Absolutely. And so I'm going to move on because we have so many great tips I want to share with everybody. And let's talk about standing out. Standing out and being unique. What are you doing today to stand out and be unique? That's a question for all of you out there. Ask yourself, what have I done lately that's different, that people would remember me by? I have such a nice list here I share with people when I'm doing career coaching, and it fascinates me how few people will actually take the time to go meet people in other departments. They get comfortable in their zone, and people like to stay in their comfort zone, yes, so they stay right where it's comfy. And when you branch out and you go meet some new people, it's amazing what will happen. Mm-hmm. First of all, you might connect with human beings and have an amazing time. You might make some friends out of it. You might learn something new. You get to maybe learn some new things. I've had people say to me, and I just had this happen last night, I'm not enjoying my job. Company's kind of slow right now. I don't have enough work to do. And I've heard this before. I coached another person just this morning who said, I was laid off from a job a while ago. It was really slow just before the layoff. Well, let me tell you, if you want to have some job security, make sure your particular position is not slow.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever see a lull, step out of your zone, go meet some new people and find out how can you help them? How can you support them? What's a new skill set you can learn? Do some cross training. All of these are things that you can implement into your personal branding.
Well, I think it's one thing to be able to speak to your value. It's quite another to actually create a value for who you are and what you bring. And so I think that that's really important. You go out there and you say, what can I help you with? What can I do to help you? And now you're in a role where you're learning something new, you're expanding yourself, and you're putting yourself in front of a group of people that maybe haven't met you before or don't know you, and they see, oh, look at this person who just gets out of their zone and comes over and helps us. That's great.
And it can be fun. I mean, I've had people say, I'm kind of bored with this lull. I sit there, I watch the clock, and the day goes by slow. Why not get out and learn something new? Stretch yourself, challenge yourself, have some fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go home at the end of the day feeling fulfilled.
Yep.
And your personal brand continues to grow as someone who's a team player that goes the extra mile. You create new skill sets. It's about creating your career.
Mm-hmm.
And my new tagline says, a world of opportunity. And I'm here to say there's a lot of opportunities right in front of our eyes that we don't always see.
Mm-hmm.
And if we step outside of our box, they're right there waiting for us.
Well, I think another thing is you have to create the experience or the career, the path that you really want. I was just talking to one of my staff the other day. We're working on a project that's supposed to be time limited. And she said, well, what's going to happen when the project ends? And I said, I think we need to push ourselves out there and say, we're not looking at when the project ends, we're looking at the next step. So what's the next step beyond this? So this ends at a certain point, but we have this skill set, we have this competence, we have this team that has this array of skills. Where are we going to go next with this? What more can we bring to this organization with what we've developed so far?
And that's creating opportunities by looking at the possibilities
Yep.
that can happen and adding value.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, how can I make a difference in other people's lives? And so many people I've met with have said, well, I don't know what I could do, and I'm not sure what I'm good at. Well, just branch out. Step out, challenge yourself, try something new. And you'd be surprised when you start doing that, how rewarding and how fulfilling it is. And if you're not ready to go promote yourself throughout the company, promote what you have today. Let's get back to promoting your current expertise. How can you do that? You can create a blog, and you can start sharing it with people throughout the organization.
Mm-hmm.
You can use that blog to share information and to tell them about some of the projects you're working on, the great things you're doing. Share it with the community. Create your own website page. There's CVs, and I'm actually going to be adding a new service offering where I help people create CVs and have videos made of themselves.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, and I got the idea because I'm interviewing right now for an assistant, and I had someone send me a short video with his resume,
Mm-hmm.
but he said in the email, I could go on and on, but let's not bore you. Just watch this short video. And you can do the same thing about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of you are going, oh my goodness, I could never do a video. I'm not confident doing that. Well, practice, practice, practice. That's all it takes. And trust me, I know, because I've been practicing. You can see some of my videos on my website. So who are you going to lunch with? Who are you spending your time with out there?
Mm-hmm.
And are you rubbing shoulders with the positive, motivational people inside your organization? Are you talking to executives so they know who you are and what you're capable of? Have you ever asked someone, up above you to go to lunch? Hey, I'd like to learn more about what you do.
Mm-hmm.
I want to add more value to the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get to know you.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives you an opportunity to build connections with people that'll start to recognize you.
I think the other opportunity that you have is if you have people that are above you or executives or anything that you want to network with, look for somebody who's looking to mentor someone. And that's what I did. I'm in a leadership program right now, and we had our executives come in and do a presentation. There was one particular, I actually took it upon myself to meet individually with about half of the executives that came in and presented to us, because I wanted to make a better connection. I'm new to the organization. I wanted to take the opportunity to do that. But there was one in particular that I made a real connection with, and I asked her pretty straight up, and I said, I'd love it if we could continue to meet. And she said, well, I'm looking to mentor somebody. I said, that would be wonderful. And she's been a really great role model for me, and just given me a lot of, I think, confidence, but also that forum that kind of led me to the next step, and always looking at the next step. Where's the next step going? So.
And what's that experience been like for you?
It's, she's a phenomenal person. So I really enjoy just the time that we spend together. And sometimes we're just talking about random things. And that's been my experience with everybody. I've sat with a CFO. I've sat with other chiefs, the chiefs as they call them. And we just, sometimes we'll talk about personal things. Sometimes we'll talk about professional things. I think it's important for them to see both sides, because people make hiring decisions based on gut. A lot of it comes down to gut. Yes, and I asked her very, very point blank, what do you look for? And she said, well, I'm looking for the skill set to complement not only what I'm looking for in this position, but where I'm going as a department. Understandable, I look for the same types of things. But if she knows me as a person, and she knows who I am, and we've found some commonality that, our kids are the same age, or we're kind of at the same place in life, or something like that, or we've shared a common experience, then that sticks out in the memory.
It sure does. And job stability is about those relationships. And also new opportunities are about who you know and what they think of you, and it goes back to, let's just do a recap. Your values, your strengths, your expertise, what do you bring to the table? Mm-hmm. So many people have said to me, well, I should have gotten the promotion. I worked really hard. Well, I'm here to say that happens once in a while. But these days, there's a lot of people working inside organizations, and it's up to you to promote your expertise, to create a name for yourself. And when you build these relationships like Lisa has, and kudos to you, Lisa.
Thank you.
You open up opportunities in the future. People will remember you. And maybe she stays in her role for in the next year or two, but down the road, they remember when a new door opens. Or let's just say 5 years from now, they go to a different company and they know of a new opportunity. Mm-hmm. So the personal branding and the relationship building is crucial long-term to your career success. And most importantly, if you want to actually enjoy going to work, meeting people, building relationships, connecting with them, even on a personal level, is something that adds joy to your life. It's no longer just about work. You love the people that you work with. You enjoy being around them. Mm-hmm. Like you've got a great mentor. You learn from her. Mm-hmm. And so that makes it more enjoyable.
It does, and I think having that level of connection, even with your peers and the your subordinates, I have a lot of people that work for me as well. I make it a point, at least once every 2 days or so, I walk around. I talk to people. How are you doing? How's your son doing? You mentioned this, and having that connection with people, they know that you're a real person, and they want to connect with you as well, and you'll drive better performance from your people if you're really connected and they feel that connection with you.
Very true. And I just want to tap into that for a second, because I know there's a lot of different personality styles at the other end of this podcast. And for those of you that are the driver, controller, overachievers that just love to check your checklist and all your boxes and you're very busy, keep in mind, hit pause, and go walk around with that coffee. I had a client, and I'll never forget this because I love him dearly, who said to me in the very beginning when he came to me, very unhappy, very frustrated at work, I watched my coworker walk around the office in the morning and drink coffee and talk to people. And I look at her and I say, when is she going to get to work? And I laughed because in the beginning he did not see the value in lunch and coffee and relationships. And with a little persistence from his coach, I got him to do a lot of things out of his comfort zone. And it's funny enough, I had a conversation with him today because I just called him to inspire one of my new clients, because fast forward a year later, he's in a very happy place.
That's wonderful.
You know, he said to me at times, oh, I went to this lunch and I had a connection. He goes, it was almost like an out-of-body experience at this lunch where I looked down upon myself and said, who is this person? Because he would have never have done that, you know, in prior years. Mm-hmm. But when he started walking around and connecting with people and talking to people, he started to become a mentor. Mm-hmm. You know, you have a mentor, he became a mentor. Mm-hmm. He was a project manager and he started mentoring other project managers. Matter of fact, he found out they were going to have a project management training class, and he said, well, I'm going to go to it. Mm-hmm. I don't need to go, right. But if I go, I can meet the younger project managers, and I can start a book club, and I can help mentor them. Now, he started building a name for himself. Mm-hmm. He started going into other departments and meeting people. I was with him the whole step of the way, teaching him, coaching him, role-playing with him, getting him out of his comfort zone, and watching him spread his wings. Mm-hmm. And sometimes digging his heels in the beginning. But in the end, everything I promised him came to fruition. And his life was really transformed. Today, he's in a career he loves. He has better relationships. And when I talk to him today, there's nothing more rewarding for me as a coach than to hear what he said to me about the happy place that he's in today. Mm-hmm. And I could hear it in his tone, just on the phone, how happy he was. And he's a guy, when he first came to me, slumped in his chair, frustrated at work, really miserable. I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I have to leave my job, and miserable. So for those of you out there that aren't thrilled in your careers, ask yourself, what do I need to do differently? Mm-hmm. Am I willing to try a different approach in my current career and work on my personal branding and my relationship building and all the things that Lisa and I have shared today? And if you're looking for a new career, what are you doing to show them how unique and special you are? And take the time to really sit down and ask yourself some of the questions that we've posed to you today. What makes you unique and special? What are your values? What are your mission statements? What are your biggest accomplishments and achievements that you're most proud of? And start sharing it with the rest of the world so they recognize how amazing you truly are. What do you want to add to that, Lisa?
I think really looking at what you bring to the table. I think when you're whether it's with your existing organization, whether it's with your boss, whether it's with your prospective employer, what are you going to bring to the table, and where do you add value? I think that was one thing, that was one bit of feedback that we got recently too in our leadership program, is that go to your boss and say, this is what I see for myself. This is where I see myself going. So that shows that you have that acknowledgement of, this is what my skill set is, this is where my value is, and this is where I want to go. And I think if you have that ability to be assertive and to let the people in front of you know that this is where I want to see myself, people want other people to grow. They really do. And they, when you do well, that reflects well on your boss too and the people above you. So if you're willing to get out there, you can change your dynamic. You don't have to be the one who's kind of living it, just living it. Control it. Take control of it.
Yeah. Build a name for yourself. Mm-hmm. Create your own reputation. And give back to others.
Absolutely.
Understand where other people are at and how you can help support them. It'll go a long way to help you get where you want to go in life. Mm-hmm. And it will make the journey so much more rewarding and joyful.
Thanks for being with us for today's broadcast. Be sure to check out BrendaWilliamsA.com and connect with her through social media. While you are there, remember to sign up for her free career assessment and take a look at all the helpful resources. Again, that's BrendaWilliamsA.com. Join us next time as we share more on how you can continue to showcase your value and create the career of your dreams. This program is sponsored by Brenda Williams, a world of opportunity.